Good morning, we're going to start. Please take your seat. Bonjour, nous allons commencer, s'il vous plaît. Rejoignez vos places. Merci.
Good morning, dear colleagues. Dear colleagues, we are now resuming our examination of item 7A, which concerns the state of conservation reports of the properties inscribed in the list of World Heritage in Danger. As you remember, yesterday, we have adopted 22 decisions on such properties, including the removal of the tombs of kings at Kasabi in Uganda from the list of the World Heritage in Danger. All my congratulations again to the state party. Now I would like to invite Mr. Ilondo Asomo to read the list of the cultural properties inscribed on the list of World Heritage in Danger located in the Africa region, for which the reports are proposed for adoption without discussion. Mr. Lazar.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson, and good morning to all. The following properties located in the African region are proposed for adoption without discussion. Old towns of Djenné, Mali, Timbuktu, Mali, Tombs of Askia, Mali. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If there is no objection from the committee on this state of conservation report, I declare the decision read out adopted. Also, I would like to request from Mr. Londo Asomo to read the list of the cultural properties inscribed on the list of World Heritage in Danger located in the Arab States region for which the reports are proposed for adoption without discussion. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. The following properties located in the Arab States region are proposed for adoption without discussion. Abu Mena, Egypt; Ashur, Iraq; Hatra, Iraq; Samara Archaeological City, Iraq; General Decision on the World Heritage Properties of Iraq; Archaeological Site of Cyrene, Libya; Archaeological Site of Leptis Magna, Libya; Archaeological Sites of Sabrata, Libya; Old Town of Hadames, Libya; Rock art sites of Tadrat Akakus, Libya; Ancient City of Aleppo, Syrian Arab Republic; Ancient City of Basra, Syrian Arab Republic; Ancient City of Damascus, Syrian Arab Republic; Ancient Villages of Northern Syria, Syrian Arab Republic; Crac des Chevaliers and Khalat Salah el-Din, Syrian Arab Republic; Site of Palmyra, Syrian Arab Republic; General Decision on the World Heritage Properties of the Syrian Arab Republic; Historic Town of Zabid, Yemen; Old City of Sana'a, Yemen; Old World City of Shibam, Yemen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Director. If there is no objection from the committee on the state of conservation report, Oman, the floor is yours.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صباح الخير جميعا ويوم مبارك إن شاء الله مثل سابقته. سعادة الرئيس، بالنسبة للمنطقة العربية وما ورد الآن من أسماء من بعض الدول التي ما زالت هذه المواقع محتفظة في مواقع المهددة بالخطر، نحن نتمنى أولاً أن يكون في التقرير على الأقل الجهود التي تبذل من بعض الدول في مجالات لإعادة يعني الروح لهذه المواقع، مثل ما يحصل في العراق تبذل جهود كبيرة يعني للمحافظة على هذه المواقع. طبعاً حتى الآن لم تصل إلى إخراجها من القائمة المهددة بالخطر، كذلك سوريا، كذلك جمهورية مصر العربية، لكن على الأقل في هذه التقارير أن يذكر يعني هذه الجهود من قبل هذه الدول. هذه نقطة. النقطة الثانية، أنا أتمنى من الورلد هيريتيج سنتر، مركز التراث العالمي، كذلك أن يكون هناك جهد خاصة في هذه المناطق. يعني في سوريا ما زال يعني عمل منظمة اليونسكو على استحياء، فلذلك نحن نأمل أن تدعم العراق وتدعم سوريا والدول الأخرى المحتاجة في على الأقل أن يكون هناك يعني سايت مانجمنت، وتساعد منظمة اليونسكو في برامج يعني لإعادة تأهيل بعض المواقع المتضررة وكذلك للمحافظة عليها. شكرا.
شكرا جزيلا. دولة قطر.
شكرا السيد الرئيس، وأتمنى لكم بإذن الله يوم جميل الجميع إن شاء الله. أنا أود فقط أن أثمن على ما قدمته الأمانة العامة على التقارير، كما أضيف صوتي إلى سعادة سفير سلطنة عمان الشقيقة بذكر فعلا الدول العربية التي ساهمت في الحفاظ على التراث العربي المهدد في خطر. وهناك الكثير من الأمثلة من الدول العربية كالعراق التي ساهمت في هذا الشأن بالحفاظ على تراثها. المنطقة العربية ثرية جدا بالتراث العالمي، كما لا يخفى على الجميع بأن هناك العديد من التحديات، كما نتمنى كذلك إضافة جهود الشباب العربي في تقارير الأمانة والمشاريع التي تمت من خلال منظمة يونسكو بالشراكة مع المجتمع المدني في الوطن العربي. فالمجتمع المدني يقوم بأعمال جبارة، ورأينا ذلك في العديد من التقارير الصادرة من عدد من الجهات. كاليمن مثلا، رأينا العديد من المشاريع التي تمت من خلال الشباب اليمني في المدينة القديمة في صنعاء وعديد من الدول العربية المتضررة. وشكرا سيد الرئيس.
شكرا جزيلا. هل يوجد أي مداخلات أخرى؟ So I see there is no intervention, and therefore I declare the decision read out adopted. Moving to the next region, now I invite Mr. Lundu Asomu to read the list of the cultural properties inscribed on the list of World Heritage in Danger located in the Asia-Pacific region, for which the reports are proposed for adoption without discussion. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. The list of cultural properties located in the Asia-Pacific region for which the reports are proposed for adoption without discussion are the following: cultural landscape and archaeological remains of the Bamiyan Valley, Afghanistan; minaret and archaeological remains of Jam, Afghanistan; Nan Madol Ceremonial Center of Eastern Micronesia, Federal States of Micronesia; Historic Center of Shakrishab, Uzbekistan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If there is no objection from the committee on the State of Conservation report, I would like to declare that the decision read out is adopted. Uzbekistan, you request the floor. The floor is yours.
Dear Mr. Chair, first of all, I would like to congratulate you on assuming this chairmanship. At this session, also I would like to thank the government of Saudi Arabia for hosting the meeting in this amazing city. I try to make my statement as brief as possible. It's regarding the historical center of Shahrisabz, on which a decision has been adopted today. First of all, I would like to thank the UNESCO World Heritage Center and ICOMOS for their very positive appreciation of the quality of the work done by the government of Uzbekistan, with the support of the Institute Paris region, to explore different scenarios and propose a more appropriate option for the recovery of the outstanding universal value of Shahrisabz. We also thank UNESCO and its advisory bodies for the very positive and constructive approach engaged at the highest level to help us in sustainable management and conservation of the World Heritage properties in Uzbekistan. Not only in Shahrisabz, but all of them. We are grateful to the World Heritage Center, ICOMOS, for their support to establish the International Advisory Committee on the World Heritage properties in Uzbekistan and to ensure its efficient work. We count on continuing on this high-level engagement we have established during the last years with the center and its advisory bodies. Uzbekistan reaffirms the willingness to keep Shahrisabz World Heritage property in the World Heritage list due to its exceptional significance in the history of Central Asia and high importance of the attributes that are still in place. We would like to reiterate the World Heritage Committee that Uzbekistan will mobilize and use all its capacities to offer the maximum guarantees and the quality of the management and conservation of Shahrisabz's World Heritage property. In particular, Uzbekistan is going to mobilize Agency of the Cultural Heritage with the support of international experts to prepare all the elements for the significant mediation of the boundary of Shahrisabz World Heritage property. We would like to inform the World Heritage Committee that we will prepare an urban planning proposal for the recovering and engaging the site's significance in close relations with the World Heritage Center and its advisory bodies. I kindly ask to include this statement into the record of this meeting, please.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we move to the cultural properties in Europe and North America, and we have a discussion proposed by Saudi Arabia, the Historic Center of Vienna, Austria. I now would like to give the floor to the delegation of Saudi Arabia to present to the committee the reasons it requested to open the state of conservation, the Historic Center of Vienna.
Assalamu alaikum. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia wishes to inform the committee about an important update in the progress made by the State Party of Austria in implementing the corrective measures for removal of the Historic Center of Vienna from the list of World Heritage in Danger. By informing the World Heritage Center about the reduction of the remarked new site in both height and volume. The new concept was not known when the draft decision was published on 31st of July 2023. After publication of the draft decision, Austria immediately reacted to the request in paragraph 8 for further reduction and provided substantial new information on the progress made on the earmarked new site, consistent with previous committee decisions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I would like to give the floor to the Secretariat and ECOMOS to provide their comments. You may have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. The World Heritage Center has indeed been informed of the State Party's intention to further revise the design of the Hoyer Marnoy project, which was the subject of a second heritage impact assessment in 2021, by further reducing the height and volume of one of its structures. To recall, the desired state of conservation for the removal of the Historic Center of Vienna from the list of World Heritage in Danger, adopted by the World Heritage Committee at its last session, Decision 44-7A.32, determined that, and I quote, a revised design of the Hoyer Marnoy project is implemented, respecting the integrity and authenticity of the outstanding universal value of the property as a whole, as measured through an independent heritage impact assessment based on the results of the Heritage Impact Assessment of 2019 and following its methodology. As the suggested amendment clearly refers to this objective of the DISOCAR, the Secretariat has no objection to the proposal. Now I turn to, thank you.
Thank you very much. ECOMOS?
Thank you, Chair. ECOMOS and ICROM acknowledge that the State Party and the City of Vienna have made progress in implementing the corrective measures adopted by the Committee in 2021 to pursue the desired state of conservation for removal of the property from the list of World Heritage in Danger. The 2022-2023 State of Conservation report available to members of the committee sets out what has been achieved and what remains to be done. The amendment submitted by Saudi Arabia relates to the Heumark New project, which is the subject of Corrective Measure 5 in the Protection and Management section of the Corrective Measures package. However, let me first refer to Corrective Measure 4 of that same chapter to note that the elaboration of the management plan for the property has progressed to the point where a revised and updated management plan has been adopted. Corrective Measure 4 requires that the management plan be accepted by the committee and that its efficacy be proven in practice through monitoring and evaluation over a period of 5 years. The draft decision provides for the management plan to be accepted by the committee at this session. With respect to the proposed Heumark New project, the DSOCR requires that the revised design of the Hooimark New project be implemented in a manner that respects the integrity and authenticity of the outstanding universal value of the property as a whole, as measured through an independent heritage impact assessment based on the results of the 2019 Heritage Impact Assessment and following its methodology. Redevelopment on the Hooimark New site can only achieve a project that does not adversely impact on the outstanding universal value of the property through a reduction in the scale of the development previously proposed in 2021. ICOMOS and ICROM acknowledge the progress made since then by the State Party in developing a further revised scheme with a reduced height and built form. In light of previous committee decisions, the adopted desired state of conservation for removal of the property from the list of World Heritage in Danger and the corrective measures, the further revised scheme will need to be assessed using the methodology of the previous heritage impact assessments. ICOMOS and ICROM agree that determination of the height, floor space and built form which would achieve the desired improvement, such that the proposed development would not adversely impact on the OUV of the property, could be pursued through the modelling used to assess the visual impact which informed the previous assessments. ICOMOS and ICROM have therefore no objection to the proposed amendment to the draft decision which sets out a process for reaching an outcome with respect to the Hooimark New project consistent with the desired state of conservation for removal of the property from the list of World Heritage in Danger. Shukran.
Thank you very much. I would like to see if there's any interventions. Sultanate Oman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And Oman would like to thank the World Heritage Center and the advisory body for their excellent report. We commend the State Party of Austria for their efforts to respond to the previous decision of this committee. Oman acknowledges and praises the progress made by the State Party in implementing the adopted corrective measure for removal of this historical center of Vienna from the World Heritage List in Danger, and also the action taken by the State Party after the publishing of the draft decision. Oman also would like to co-author the amendment proposed by Saudi Arabia. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other interventions? Dawlat Qatar.
شكرا سيد الرئيس. نثمن ما قدمته الأمانة العامة على هذا التقرير، كما نقدر كل الجهود التي قامت بها النمسا في هذا الموقع، وتضم دولة قطر صوتها مع المملكة العربية السعودية وسلطنة عمان. وشكرا.
شكرا جزيلا. أعتقد لا يوجد أي مداخلات أخرى. So now I invite you to adopt the draft decision 45Com 7A.55 concerning this property. But before doing so, I would like to ask the rapporteur if she has received any amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have received one amendment from the distinguished delegation of Saudi Arabia, which is supported by the distinguished delegation of Oman. And we have also we can add the name of distinguished delegation of Qatar who have expressed their support for this amendment. The amendment is to para 7, which now reads as acknowledges the efforts by the State Party and many other institutions and organizations to mitigate the negative impact of the proposed Hooimark project through design amendments and undertaking an HIA of the revised proposal using a methodology which is rigorous, authoritative, and compliant with the previous HIA, but notes that this process has not resulted in an outcome which achieves the DSOCR, including the verification requirements of the corrective measures. The next para 8 is revised to read as notes also that redevelopment is possible on the Hooimark New site to achieve a project that does not adversely impact the OUV, the outstanding universal value of the property, necessarily involving a reduction and further acknowledges the progress made by the state party in developing a further revised scheme with a reduced height and volume. The revised para 9 further notes that, in line with previous committee decisions, the DSOCR and its corrective measures for the property, the further revised scheme will need to be assessed using the methodology of previous HIAs, and notes furthermore that the determination of height, floor space, and build form, which would achieve the desired improvement such that the proposed development would not adversely impact the OUV of the property, could be pursued through the modeling used to assess visual impact, which informed the previous HIAs. Para 10 and 11 remain as they are. End of the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I think we should move to examine the draft decision paragraph by paragraph, and I see no amendments from paragraph number 1 until 6. There are no amendments. If you agree to adopt them as it is, I see no objections. Adopted. Paragraph 7. We have a minor amendment. Do you agree to this proposal? I see no objection. Adopted. Paragraph 8. There are a proposal. Do you agree with this proposal for the draft decision for this paragraph? I see no objections. Adopted. Paragraph 9. There is an amendment. Do you agree with this proposal? I see no objections. Adopted. Paragraph 10 and 11. There are no amendments. Do you agree to adopt them as they are? I see no objection. Adopted. So now we will adopt the entire draft decision. If there are no objections, I declare the draft decision 45-COM 7A.55 adopted as amended. Austria, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since Austria has taken the floor for the first time, we would like to commend you on your excellent conduct of the session. We would like to express our deep gratitude to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for requesting the amendment of the draft decision on the Historic Center of Vienna. We are equally grateful to Oman and Qatar for the valuable support. We thank the committee for its continuous efforts in our common goal to strengthen the convention, and we express our gratitude to the World Heritage Center as well as to the advisory bodies for the most valuable work. We are most grateful to the committee for acknowledging the efforts undertaken by Austria regarding the implementation of the necessary corrective measures for the removal of property from the list of World Heritage in danger. Austria strongly supports the Convention, taking its objectives and procedural requirements seriously, and welcomes all efforts to further strengthen the Convention. The current decision positively reflects the ongoing constructive dialogue regarding the Historic Center of Vienna and Austria's full commitment to take the further necessary steps in order to achieve the desired state of conservation of the property. Let me conclude by expressing our gratitude for the valuable guidance of the committee, the World Heritage Center, and the advisory bodies. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now, for the cultural properties located in Europe and North America, I now give the floor to the delegation of Egypt to present the committee the reason it's requested to open the state of conservation of the World Heritage Medieval Monument in Kosovo. Your Excellency, you may have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The World Heritage Property that we are considering now was inscribed on the list of endangered in 2006. The debate on its state of conservation was adjourned by the World Heritage Committee in its decision 44-7A.63 as its 44th meeting. We requested to open the discussion on this agenda item in order to adjourn the debate until the next ordinary session of the committee, since there are no developments. We respectively propose to the committee to decide to adjourn the debate. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Are there any? Ethiopia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. I will second the proposal made by the distinguished representative of Egypt.
Thank you very much. Japan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. We also support the proposal made by the distinguished representative of Egypt. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mexico.
Thank you, Chair. We want to second the proposal.
Thank you very much. Argentina.
También nosotros, Argentina, apoyamos esta propuesta.
Thank you very much. Greece.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Our delegation also supports this proposal.
Thank you very much. Oman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We also support the decision or the suggestion made by Cairo.
Thank you very much. Italy.
Italy to support this proposal.
Thank you. India.
Excellency, with regards to the item 7A.57, medieval monuments in Kosovo, Serbia, we would like to support the proposal by the distinguished representative of Egypt. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bulgaria.
Bulgaria also supports this proposal.
Thank you very much. Qatar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Qatar supports the proposal from Egypt delegation. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Rwanda.
Mr. Chair, Rwanda also supports the proposed amendment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nigeria.
Yeah, Nigeria supports the proposed by Egypt. Thank you.
Thank you very much. St. Vincent and Grenadines.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines also support the proposal of Egypt. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mali.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Le Mali soutient la proposition égyptienne.
Thank you very much. Zambia.
Mr. Chairman, Zambia also joined the rest of the committee members in supporting this amendment.
Thank you very much. Thailand.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And Thailand also supports the proposal made by Egypt. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Thailand. Do we have any other? Belgium?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Mr. Chair. We also support the adjournment, and it is our understanding that if two committee members already support adjournment, that it is automatic, so there's no need that all committee members express this. Having that said, we're obviously very glad that there is a true consensus on this point. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So I think then this agenda item is therefore adjourned to our next ordinary session, and I would like kindly ask our rapporteur to ensure that this is captured in the report of the decision. Thank you very much. And now, I would like to invite the Director of the World Heritage Center to read the list of the properties which the reports are proposed for adoption without discussion. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. The following property for which the report is proposed for adoption without discussion is Rosia Montana Mining Landscape, Romania. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If there is no objection from the Committee on the State of Conservation report, I declare the decision read out adopted. Dear colleagues, like for item 7A, we will first discuss the report concerning natural properties, followed by the mixed and cultural properties. The region will be presented in the same regional order as follows. Item 7A, Latin America and the Caribbean, Africa, Arab states, Asia and the Pacific, and Europe and the North America. I now invite Mr. Londo Asomo to read the list of the natural properties for which the reports are proposed for adoption without discussion for the Latin America and Caribbean.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. The following natural properties for which the reports are proposed for adoption without discussion are Pantanal Conservation Area, Brazil, El Pinacate and Gran Desierto de Altar Biosphere Reserve, Mexico, Iguazu National Park, Brazil, Área de Conservación Guanacaste, Costa Rica, Talamanca Range La Amistad Reserves, La Amistad National Park, Costa Rica, Galapagos in Panama, Galapagos Island, Ecuador, Monarch Butterfly Biosphere Reserve, Mexico, Coiba National Park and its special zone of marine protection, Panama, Pitons Management Area, St. Lucia, Canaima National Park, Venezuela, Bolivarian Republic. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If there is no objection from the committee on this State of Conservation report, I declare the decision read out adopted. We have a request from the floor. An NGO, please take the floor and represent and inform us about the name of the NGO and yourself. Thank you. So it seems there is no one there, so we will move on. For the next properties to be discussed, Okavango Delta, Botswana. I would like to give the floor to the delegation of South Africa to present to the committee the reason why it made such a request. The floor is yours, South Africa.
Thank you, Chairperson. South Africa has made the request to open the Okavango Delta for discussion to propose amendments to a few paragraphs to assist the committee to adopt a decision which is as accurate as possible. We are proposing to amend paragraphs 5, 11, 14, and 17 for reasons I will explain in brief. Paragraph 5 of the draft decision specifically calls for a new wildlife survey to be conducted. South Africa has become aware that the State Party of Botswana already conducted the survey in 2022 in partnership with the Okavango Zambezi TFCA, which includes the countries of Angola, Namibia, Zimbabwe, and Zambia. This is to be repeated through a 3-year cycle. If the paragraph is adopted as is, it will constitute a duplication. In addition, Chairperson, the State Party of Botswana has been implementing extensive monitoring measures for the wildlife in the Delta, including using drones and some of the latest animal population statistical modeling. This was achieved through the help of academic institutions such as the University of Pretoria in South Africa. We request the Chairperson to later give the floor to the State Party of Botswana to share with the committee the 3-year cycle surveys and findings of the 2022 survey. In respect of paragraph 11, South Africa has also established from the State Party of Botswana that oil and gas prospecting in the basin upstream is an issue that the State Party has managed to resolve, with some licenses that were previously issued subsequently expiring and not being renewed. The State Party has also informed us of the continuous engagements with the State Party of Namibia regarding explorations on the Namibian side. Accordingly, South Africa would like paragraph 11 to be amended to acknowledge that although such activities are located outside the property's boundaries, the oil and gas explorations remain a concern to the state of conservation, and that this matter is receiving attention. Concerning paragraph 14, South Africa is of the view that there is no need to request the State Party of Botswana to continue negotiating cancellation of exploration licenses when the State Party has concluded the matter by not issuing new licenses and also not renewing those that expired. We are thus proposing the deletion of paragraph 11 in its entirety. Chairperson, South Africa is also requesting that the committee allows the State Party of Botswana more time to focus on implementation of the committee decisions and to report by the 1st of December 2024 instead of the 1st of February 2024 for consideration by the committee during its next 47th session. Lastly, Chairperson, may you please allow the State Party of Botswana an opportunity to share some of the latest information on these issues at a time that is convenient to you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Do we have any comment or interventions from the committee members? Belgium.
Thank you, Chair. Belgium has always been a staunch admirer of one of nature's most iconic treasures, the Okavango Delta. And not only because back in 2014, it was designated as the landmark 1,000th site on the World Heritage List. This magnificent delta, Mr. Chair, is one of the planet's very few major interior delta systems with a rather unique ecosystem. And that is why, together with the government of Norway, the government of Flanders, Belgium, has been a proud partner of the compact that was designed for engaging communities in conservation and shared governance of the delta. Because of this engagement, Mr. Chair, Belgium feels it should propose a few modifications to the amendment of the DR as it was submitted by South Africa in order to maximize the protection and preservation of this wonderful property. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. دولة قطر.
شكرا السيد الرئيس. لقد استمعنا على لمداخلة ساوث أفريكا ووفد بلجيكا تؤيد دولة قطر ما قدمته جنوب أفريقيا بالتعديلات على مشروع القرار، وذلك لإعطاء الوقت الكافي لدولة بوتسوانا لتقديم المعلومات وإعطائهم الفرصة حتى ديسمبر 2024. وشكرا سيد الرئيس.
شكرا جزيلا. سلطنة عمان.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Oman wishes to acknowledge also the efforts made by the State Party to address the threats of this outstanding property. Also, we appreciate the continuous cooperation between the State Party of Botswana, Angola, and Namibia through the permanent Okavango River Basin Water Commission. The finalized guidelines on the implementation of the Southern African Development Community Protocol on shared water resources and the strategic environmental assessment for the CORB report for completion 2022. Furthermore, we encourage the relevant state parties to further strengthen transboundary cooperation to include key areas which could contribute to better protection of the OUV and in particular the integrity of the property. Therefore, we support the amendment draft decision. Thank you.
Shukran jazilan. So now I would like to give the floor to the Secretariat to respond to the committee's comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think there are a couple of things raised by the delegation of South Africa, which I would like to respond to. On the question of the survey that was done in 2022, we just note that the State Party did not inform the World Heritage Center about a new survey and did not submit the results for review by IUCN. We would therefore suggest that the committee notes the information provided by the state party that the new wildlife survey has been done, but also request the state party to submit the survey results to the World Heritage Center so that these results can be reviewed by IUCN. On the issue of the oil exploration, which is in paragraph 11, we confirm, of course, that the oil exploration areas are outside the World Heritage property and its buffer zone. However, the World Heritage Center and IUCN would like to stress that even at considerable distance from the property, there could still be important impacts on the outstanding universal value. We want to note here that the hydrology of the Okavango system is still poorly studied, in particular the role of underground aquifers. In case the oil exploration or potential exploitation would result in pollution of these aquifers, this might directly affect the delta. In addition, the exploration areas are important wildlife corridors and dispersal areas for key species, which are important attributes of the OUV, such as the elephants. On the point of mining, we of course welcome if the state party is giving assurances that there are no new mining licenses that have been granted and that all the mining licenses in the buffer zone have indeed expired, then that would indeed be a reason to delete that paragraph. So if the state party could clarify that, I think that would be useful. IUCN might also have some additional comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. IUCN?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, we fully support the comments just made by the World Heritage Center, and we share the sense of caution with the extreme sensitivity of the hydrology and groundwater flows in the Okavango Delta. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. I would like to give the floor to Greece.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for giving me the floor. Our delegation is also of the view that the state party has made significant efforts towards the mitigation of the negative impact on this unique property for mankind. Therefore, we are supporting the proposed amendment submitted by South Africa and also supported by other member states, which simply provides significant clarifications without altering the overall spirit of the draft decision. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Mamlaka Arabia Saudiyya.
السلام عليكم سعادة الرئيس. تود المملكة العربية السعودية أن تدعم التعديل المقترح من جنوب أفريقيا ونقدر الجهود التي قامت بها الدولة المختصة. شكرا.
شكرا جزيلا. مالي.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Je souhaite souligner que l'État partie a effectivement réalisé des actions positives en droite ligne des recommandations formulées. Dès lors, celles-ci mériteraient d'être mieux reflétées dans le projet de décision. C'est pourquoi nous soutenons des amendements proposés par l'Afrique du Sud. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. I see no other interventions. So I would like to give the floor to Botswana to respond to the questions. St. Vincent and Grenadines, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. St. Vincent and the Grenadines support the amendments presented by South Africa on this site, and we commend the efforts of the state party in the implementation of all the requests. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Argentina?
Sí, queremos también sumarnos a la propuesta.
Thank you very much. Japan?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. We also commend the state party for their efforts in the first place. And secondly, we also like to support the amendments. At the same time, we take note of the concerns expressed by the evaluation bodies. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Zambia?
Mr. Chair, Zambia would like also to support the amendments, and we are members of CASA with our colleagues, and we support the amendments being done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Italy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Though taking note of the legitimate concern by Belgium, we support the proposal by South Africa, and we commend Botswana for all the efforts carried out to up now.
Thank you very much. Nigeria, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Chair.
we want to acknowledge the significant effort made by Botswana in addressing the issues, and therefore Nigeria will support the proposed amendment by South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Egypt?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. My delegation also would like to commend Botswana for the corrective measures taken and the sincere effort in conserving the site, and would like to support the amendments presented by the delegation of South Africa.
Thank you very much. Ethiopia?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As other delegation, we also commend Botswana for the significant effort it did to conserve the property, and we would like to support the amendment presented by South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mexico?
Gracias, señor presidente. Queremos reconocer los esfuerzos del Estado parte y, en ese sentido, apoyar las propuestas de Sudáfrica. Gracias.
Thank you very much. India?
Excellency, would like to support the amendments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see there are no more interventions. So I would like to pass the floor to Botswana to respond to the comment of South Africa and also the Secretariat, but please precisely within the time limit. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. Let me at the onset thank South Africa for tabling the amendments. I would like to state that Botswana is committed to the implementation of the 1972 World Heritage Convention as a state party, as well as the conservation of its World Heritage properties. Botswana therefore wishes to further clarify a few issues. Firstly, exploration and prospecting. At inscription in 2014, Botswana had issued several prospecting licenses. However, a decision in conformity with the convention was that these licenses should not be renewed when they expired. Today, Botswana wishes to confirm that there are no prospecting, exploration, and mining licenses within the Okavango World Heritage Property and its buffer zone. Secondly, aerial surveys. Botswana undertakes wildlife surveys every 3 years. Following the 2018 Aerial Wildlife Survey, the Kavango-Zambezi Transfrontier Conservation Area states of Angola, Botswana, Namibia, Zambia, and Zimbabwe jointly conducted another survey in 2022. The report depicts a thriving wildlife population, with Botswana accounting for 58% of the total elephant population of about 227,900. As a result, the country has the largest elephant population, whose number exceeds the carrying capacity of the land. In addition, Botswana has laws and programs that promote wildlife conservation and protection against poaching. Lastly, Chairperson, veterinary fences. While veterinary fences are assumed to be blocking wildlife migratory routes, these fences also serve a dual purpose of protecting the property. Fences prevent livestock from mixing with wildlife, thus preventing the spread of diseases, especially foot and mouth, which is a threat to people's livelihoods. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any comments or interventions? So now, dear colleagues, I invite you to adopt the draft decision 45Com 7B.4 concerning this property. But before doing so, I would like to ask the rapporteur if she has received any amendment to this draft decision.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have received one amendment for this draft decision from the distinguished delegation of South Africa, which was supported by the distinguished delegations of Qatar and Rwanda. Furthermore, we have from the floor received confirmation for this amendment from the distinguished delegations of Oman, Greece, Saudi Arabia, Mali, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Zambia, Argentina, Japan, Egypt, Nigeria, Ethiopia, Mexico, and India. As already explained by the distinguished delegation of South Africa, the amendments are for para 5, 11, 14, and 16. Para 5, as you may see on the screen, now reads as, whilst noting the results of the 2018 Aerial Wildlife Survey that indicate an increase of many wildlife populations expresses its concern over the reported increase in poaching, in particular of elephants and rhinos, and welcomes the survey conducted by the state party in partnership with CASA TFCA, countries of Angola, Namibia, Zimbabwe, and Zambia in 2022 as part of a 3-year cycle, which shows a healthy elephant population and a reduction in rhino poaching, and encourages the state party to increase efforts to strengthen the efficiency of anti-poaching and address illegal trafficking of ivory and rhino horn. The next revised para is para 11. Reiterates its utmost concern about the advancement of the oil and gas exploration activities in the environmentally sensitive upstream areas of the Okavango Delta in northwestern Botswana and northeastern Namibia that may pose significant risks to the interconnected water system and the ecosystem, and hence the properties OUV. Next revised para is 14, which is completely deleted now. And the final change to para 16, which reads as, finally requests the state party to submit to the World Heritage Center by 1 December 2024 an updated report on the state of conservation of the property and the implementation of the above for examination by the World Heritage Committee at its 47th session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Belgium, do you have any intervention?
Thank you, Chair. I was a bit too soon with raising our flag. We will intervene when you propose the text for adoption. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So let's start examining the draft decision paragraph by paragraph. I see there are no amendments on paragraph 1 to paragraph 4. So do you agree that the paragraph as it is? I see no objection. Adopted. Paragraph 5, we have some amendments. Belgium, you have the floor.
Thank you once again. Thank you once again, Chair. Despite the growing consensus in the room, I would nevertheless like to propose one sentence to be added at the end of para 5, just for the other members to have a look at it. And I will read it slowly. The state party is invited to share the results of aforementioned surveys as soon as possible with the World Heritage Center for review by IUCN. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Do you agree with this proposed amendment? So I see Oman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I would like to know the rationale from adding this sentence, and I don't know a questionnaire or a review to be reviewed by the World Heritage Center. What is the rationale behind that? Thank you.
Thank you, Oman. Belgium.
Thank you, Chair. The rationale behind it is that if this information, which is clearly important enough to mention in the DR, if the results of this survey is available, why not share it with the Secretariat for review by IUCN? It's just a matter of transparency, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Mexico.
Gracias, señor presidente. Deseamos sumarnos a la propuesta de Bélgica.
Thank you very much. Nigeria.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to propose an amendment to the one proposed by Belgium. I will propose that the state party only submits the survey, but not subject for review, because it's for information. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I would like to give the floor to the rapporteur to summarize the updated amendments.
So I will read the paragraph 5, which is now revised as whilst noting the results of the 2018 aerial wildlife survey that indicate an increase of many wildlife populations, expresses its concern over the reported increase in poaching, in particular of elephants and rhinos, and welcomes the survey conducted by the state party in partnership with CASA TFCA countries of Angola, Namibia, Zimbabwe, and Zambia in 2022 as part of the 3-year cycle, which shows a healthy elephant population and a reduction in rhino poaching, and encourages the state party to increase efforts to strengthen the efficiency of anti-poaching and address illegal trafficking of ivory and rhino horn, we may add, and invites the state party to share the results of the aforementioned surveys as soon as possible with the World Heritage Center for review by IUCN.
Thank you very much. Do we agree with this proposal? Mr. Director, he has some interventions about the language of this draft amendment.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. C'était juste pour faire une proposition, une suggestion pour plus de clarté dans la lecture de la version française de votre amendement, pour que votre paragraphe soit beaucoup plus compréhensible pour l'État partie. Alors, l'État partie, vous accueillez avec satisfaction le recensement et vous encouragez l'État partie, à accroître les efforts, donc vous pouvez remonter, voilà. Alors, après la virgule, peut-être vous pourriez dire « et invite également l'État partie ». Si vous le souhaitez. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. South Africa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. You would know that Botswana hosts the largest population of elephants in SADC, and SADC alone, the Southern African Development Community, is home to 75% of the elephant population across the globe. We also work with specialist working groups, which include the IUCN Elephant Specialist Working Group, which have already reviewed the survey report through their nominated specialists. So we can confirm that the report has actually been reviewed. It could be that the specialist working group might have to inform IUCN headquarters on the outcome of that particular review. I thank you.
Nigeria.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to observe that the Secretariat did not mention our proposal. It's already there, but when reading the paragraph for, for adoption, she did not mention the proposal made by Nigeria. Thank you.
So does the committee agree with the Nigeria's proposal to remove the review by IUCN? So I see no objection to remove the last 4 words for review by IUCN. Are we in agreement with this proposal? Oman?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think it is a balance. It is taking both the Belgium and Nigeria's suggestion. It is a balance. So we agreed to delete the last phrase. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I see no other objections. And so the amended paragraph is adopted as amended. Paragraph 6 and 7, there are no amendments. And paragraph 8 and paragraph 9 and paragraph 10, there are no amendments on these paragraphs. Do you agree to adopt them as it is? So I see no objection, then adopted. Paragraph 11, we have a proposal. Do you agree to this proposal? Belgium?
Thank you again, Chair. Mr. Chair, Belgium prefers the original sequence of the 2 main elements in this paragraph, and it feels that the committee's concern about the complex interconnected water system and ecosystem that constitutes this magnificent delta should take precedence over the fact that the exploration activities are taking place outside of the buffer zone. And that's why we would prefer the original sequence of both elements. And to start with the wording, reiterates its utmost concern. But I will read the amendment we would like to propose in full. Reiterates its utmost concern about the advancement of the oil and gas exploration activities, located outside the buffer zone, in the environmentally sensitive upstream areas of the Okavango Delta, in northwestern Botswana and northeastern Namibia. That may pose significant risk to the interconnected water system and the ecosystem, and could hence affect the property's OUV. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Belgium. Do we have any comment on this? Do we agree to this proposed amendment? So I see no objection. The paragraph is adopted as amended. Paragraph 12 and 13, there are no amendments. Do we agree to adopt them as it is? I see no objections. Adopted. Paragraph 14. Now is it now 13? There is an amendment. Do we agree to this proposal? I see no objection. The paragraph is adopted as amended. Paragraph 14 and paragraph 15, there are no amendments. Do we adopt them as it is? I see no objection. Adopted. Paragraph 16, we have a proposal. Do we agree with this proposal? I see no objection. Adopted. So now we will adopt the entire draft decision if there are no objections. No one? Okay. So I declare the draft decision 45.7b.4 is adopted as amended. So we have a request from the Indigenous People Forum. You may have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Okavango Delta has rightfully earned a claim for its natural beauty and ecological significance. However, a critical dimension has been often overshadowed: the profound Indigenous cultural values deeply intertwined with this pristine landscape. Indigenous communities have called this region home for centuries. They possess an intimate understanding of the Delta's intricate ecosystems, a wisdom passed down through generations, living in symbiotic harmony with the land. The traditional practices to manage resources foster biodiversity. Regrettably, these invaluable Indigenous cultural values have not received the recognition they unquestionably deserve within the World Heritage designation. In recent times, worrisome signs of change have emerged. Shifts in land use, resource management, and altering environmental patterns have begun to challenge the delicate equilibrium carefully preserved by Indigenous communities over centuries. The repercussions of this diminished recognition of Indigenous values within the broader narrative threaten both their unique cultural heritage and the fragile Delta ecosystems. The Committee artificial distinction between cultural and natural World Heritage sites is deeply problematic in the context of Indigenous territories and heritage. The inclusion of natural sites in the World Heritage List without acknowledging associated Indigenous heritage values disregards the interconnectedness of cultural and natural values for Indigenous peoples, which should be managed and protected holistically. We therefore urge the Committee to revise the criteria for assessing outstanding universal value to ensure that the values attributed to World Heritage sites by Indigenous peoples are fully and consistently acknowledged as integral components of their OUV. We hold a moral and ethical responsibility to acknowledge, celebrate and protect the rich Indigenous cultural values interwoven with the Okavango Delta. Collaborative efforts
Please,
with the
I would like to
Indigenous
ask you to conclude. Thank you.
So,
with Indigenous communities should be prioritised, engaging them as genuine partners in conservation endeavours, respecting their traditional knowledge and ensuring their active involvement in decision-making processes concerning their ancestral lands.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I would like to pass the floor to Alliance Earth, an NGO. You may have the floor.
I'm very happy to be here today representing Alliance Earth and our partner organizations and communities fighting to protect the Okavango World Heritage Site. But under duress, I am surprised that our statement is not taken into account before the vote. Thank you very much, Belgium. This natural wonder is worthy of protection, not only because of its incredible diversity of endangered species, but also because it is a lifeline for more than 250,000 people in 3 countries who are facing serious challenges in the face of climate change. Because we will not come up for discussion again for another 2 years, we are asking UNESCO to please take the precautionary principle and be proactive in monitoring the situation closely in this desert region, where we have Recon Africa drilling in the sensitive watershed of the Okavango Delta for oil and gas that the Earth's people no longer need and the local communities do not support. The need for vigilance is acute because the company has repeatedly shown contempt for local laws and regulations, already drilling illegally for oil inside of officially protected areas without a permit. This inland delta has no outlet to the sea, which means pollutants cannot be dispersed, resulting in toxic buildup in the water over time. There is also a serious need for water pollution monitoring to make sure that big new agricultural projects upstream are not polluting the river that more than 10,000 people directly rely upon for their daily unfiltered water. These big agribusinesses are using dangerous, persistent chemicals and need to be regulated. This is a critical time for the Okavango and its people. We are encouraged to see that there is strong interest among the state parties who are responsible for this natural wonder to expand the property to include its watershed in Angola's Benguela Plateau. This exciting plan could also help secure the headwaters of the Zambezi River, the lifeline for 45 million people in Africa. We are ready to assist. Please count on us as your secure allies. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much. So now, for the next property to be discussed, Kenya Lake System in Great Rift Valley, Kenya. I would like to give the floor to the delegation from Rwanda to present the committee the reason why it's made such a request. You may have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to be very brief. The draft decision on the Kenyan lakes system includes a requirement that suppose Kenya has been contemplating an extension of the site. Chair, paragraph 7 in the draft decision before you presume that connectivity and possible extension of the site has been contemplated by Kenya, and this is not the case. Therefore, if the draft decision is adopted without amendment, the World Heritage Committee will be creating a dilemma for Kenya to handle an issue which has not been planned by the state party. I thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to see if there are any comments or interventions. So I'll give the floor to the Secretariat and IUCN.
Thank you, IUCN. IUCN will take the floor on this case, please.
Shukran, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much. Perhaps just to respond on the point on paragraph 7, the changes to paragraph 7. For clarification, the text that is being proposed for deletion does not refer, the text around this is to consider the possible extension and formalization of the buffer zone and around the connectivity with Lake Elementaita. So we would just like to, on this point, also note that recalling that during the evaluation of this nomination in 2010, the state party informed IUCN that discussions were underway between KWS and the Soisambu Conservancy to open a wildlife migratory corridor to connect Lake Nakuru and Lake Elementaita. In its decision to inscribe the site, the committee therefore requested the State Party of Kenya to take effective action which could reinforce the link between the conservation of the three parts of the property, including protecting secondary ecological areas and opening wildlife corridors such as that linking Lakes Nakuru and Elementaita through the Soisambu Conservancy. As part of the reactive monitoring process, the World Heritage Centre and IUCN have been following up on this request by the committee, and that is the text that is reflected in paragraph 7 of the draft decision. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, IUCN. So we have South Africa. You may have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. The lake system in the Great Rift Valley in Kenya is home to 13 globally threatened bird species and some of the bird biodiversity in the world. It is the single most important foraging site for the lesser flamingo and a major nesting site and breeding ground for great white pelicans. Mr. Chair, a study was taken by the State Party Kenya to determine the causes and the effects of the rising water levels in the lake system of the Great Rift Valley. This study made recommendations which the State Party has assured our delegation that they will be implemented. This is a great initiative and the State Party of Kenya should be commended for. Additionally, South Africa commends the State Party for initiating discussions with relevant stakeholders, including communities, to establish a coordinated management system for the three components of the property. Mr. Chairman, South Africa therefore supports the amendment in the draft decision 45.7b.7 as proposed by the delegation of Rwanda. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other interventions? So I see none. Then I invite you to adopt the draft decision 45.7b.7 concerning this property, but before doing so, I would like to ask the rapporteur if she has received any amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have received one amendment from the distinguished delegation of Rwanda, which is further supported by the distinguished delegations of Ethiopia and Qatar, and now also confirmed by the distinguished delegation of South Africa. The changes are for para 6 to para 9. We will go over each para on the screen. Para 6 notes the results of the scoping report conducted by the multi-agency team on the impacts of the rising lake water levels and the State Party to implement the study, and encourages the State Party to implement the study recommendations, including resurveying the riparian zones, beckoning the new boundaries, continued monitoring of the site, relocating or rehabilitating the sewage treatment plants near Lake Nakuru and other lakes, raising awareness on the impacts of climate change, as well as establishing buffer zones, while at the same time taking urgent actions in close collaboration with local communities to address deforestation and land degradation in the basin and especially in the Mau escarpment. The revised para 7 appreciates the State Party's discussions with stakeholders towards securing a wildlife corridor between Lake Nakuru and Lake Naivasha using way leaves and creating a task force, developing a concept note and a work plan, but considers that the site selection and design of the wildlife corridor should be based on an evaluation of relevant needs of specific species to allow the potential corridor to accommodate movement of each target species, and therefore also requests the State Party to provide more information on this concept. End of para. Para 8 is revised to say, also notes that a meeting was organized in 2020 in Naivasha to agree upon the coordination of the management of the three components of the property, and further requests the State Party to submit to the World Heritage Center a report of follow-up actions made to implement its decisions. The revised para 9, further noting that the rising lake levels affected the zonation scheme of the property, which will be reviewed once the lake levels subside, reiterates its request to the state party to develop and implement regulations to prohibit developments in close proximity to fragile areas and sensitive buffer zones of the property. Rest of the paras remain as they are. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So let's examine the draft decision paragraph by paragraph. So from paragraph 1 to paragraph 5, there are no amendments. Do you agree to adopt them as it is? I see no objection. Adopted. Paragraph 6, we have an amendment. Do we agree with this proposal? I see no objection. Adopted as amended. Paragraph 7, there is no amendment. Do we agree to adopt it as it is? المملكة العربية السعودية.
We'd like to support this amendment here. Thank you.
Thank you. Oman?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We'd like also to support this and to add our name. Thank you.
Thank you. Zambia?
Zambia joins the team to support as well, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. India?
Excellency, we'd also like to support this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Egypt?
Yes, my delegation would like to support this amendment as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other interventions? Nigeria?
Nigeria join others to support the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. So do we agree to this proposed amendment? I see no objection, so adopted as amended. Paragraph 8, there is a minor amendment. Is there any objection? I see none. Then it's adopted as amended. Paragraph 9, there is a minor amendment. Do we agree to this proposal? Saudi Arabia?
السلام عليكم. We'd like نرغب في دعم الفقرة 9.
Thank you. So do we agree to this proposal? I see no objections. Adopted as amended. Paragraph 9, there is no amendment, and paragraph 11, no amendment. Do we adopt them as it is? I see no objection. Adopted. So to adopt the whole entire draft decision, I declare that the decision 45-COM 7B.7 is adopted as amended. So we have some interventions from the NGOs. Indoros Welfare Council, you may have the floor. we move to the other request, the World Heritage Watch. You may have the floor. It seems the who requested the floor is not here. So,
Okay.
You better tell him, yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, just give me a second. This is a statement on behalf of the Endoroy Welfare Council. We welcome the work done by the UNESCO and World Heritage Committee for the good work they do in prescribing and protecting these important world assets. One, the Endoroy of Lake Bogoria Management Plan, which was a joint work between the community, Baringo County, and Kenya Wildlife Services. Two, the Endoroy Welfare Council and the community reports that the Lake Bogoria water levels have subsided, thus pH levels increased, leading to increased populations of lesser flamingo. Three, however, the Endoroy Welfare Council is concerned and worried that due to poor management governance and management of Lake Bogoria National Reserve by the county government of Baringo in exclusion of the community in Kenya Wildlife Services, it has led to encroachment by unauthorized charcoal dealers, destroying the wildlife habitat and biodiversity loss within the conservation area. Four, we further reject the way Lake Bogoria Management Plan is being implemented in exclusion of the Endoroy community through the Endoroy Welfare Council and other stakeholders in the management plan. Five, the Endoroy Welfare Council calls upon the UNESCO World Heritage Committee to direct Baringo County government to respect the African Commission on Human and People's Rights Decisions Communication number 276-2003, Center for Minority Rights Development and Minority Rights Group International on behalf of Endoroy Welfare Council versus Kenya. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
thank you very much. Now, for our next property to be discussed, Isimingali Siu Waterland Park, South Africa. I would like to give the floor to the delegation of Rwanda to present to the committee the reasons why it made such a request. You may have the floor, Rwanda.
Thank you, Chair. The delegation of Rwanda believes that the state of South Africa has had a discussion with the World Heritage Center and the IUCN and notes South Africa's commitment to the establishment of the buffer zone for the property in an effort to reduce water stress on Lake Sibaya, including all the related land use consultations as proposed. We, however, would like to propose the deletion of the last part of the sentence in paragraph 6 that makes reference to the alignment of this exercise to the ongoing dialogue between South Africa and Mozambique. While South Africa will support the regional cooperation and not opposed the proposed extension of the Isimangalizo Wetland Park, World Heritage Sites into Mozambique, the reference to the extension at this stage is premature. Chair, we know that the discussions on the proposed extension are still at early stage, and the inclusion of them in this decision may not allow the state parties concerned enough time to comply with the respective domestic protocol. Furthermore, the panel of experts report cited in the draft decision made several recommendations aimed at addressing various factors at Lake St. Lucia estuary. Noting this, we would like to propose a review of paragraph 8 to align it with the language used in the recommendations of the panel of experts that was appointed by the relevant ministers in South Africa. This will allow for clarity and ease monitoring and reporting by the state party. It should be noted that this has also been clarified in the discussion held with the World Heritage Center and the IUCN. Lastly, Mr. Chair, while we understand that activities outside the World Heritage property might have significant negative impact in the property, the State Party of South Africa, through its State of Conservation reports for the property, has repeatedly confirmed its commitment to ensure that any activity that has the potential to negatively impact on the OUV of the property will be subjected to an environmental impact assessment. To this end, paragraph 10 is preemptive of the outcome of such environmental impact assessment should the need to do one arise. We therefore would like that the State Party be given an opportunity to implement their national legislation and inform the World Heritage Center in line with the paragraph 172 of the operational guidelines. I thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I would like to give the floor to the Secretariat and IUCN.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Apologies, there seems to be a problem with the mic. So on the paragraph 7, we note the info provided by the State Party during the meeting we had, that the process for the transboundary extension to include Maputo National Park in Mozambique into the property still needs to be discussed at bilateral level, and hence that the establishment of the buffer zone under the World Heritage Convention through the procedure of a minor boundary modification is likely to go ahead separately. IUCN will further provide comments on the two other paragraphs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. IUCN?
Yes, thank you very much. On paragraph 8, we would just like to add the original wording around the reference to avoiding further interventions such as breaching or dredging until additional monitoring data collection as recommended by the panel, which has been proposed for removal. This is a reference specifically to the independent panel report that was just referred to, which includes, and on this point we would just like to note the importance of the recommendations of this independent panel, which notes that maintenance breaching could continue in exceptional circumstances. However, these circumstances, ecological or social, need to be clearly defined. It is also essential that breaching does not take place without adequate ecological monitoring before or after the event, and the breach level should be informed by quantitative recorded measurements to ensure the most official breach in terms of the intended objectives as potential socio-economic reasons. And that had been included in the original wording. Thank you very much. On paragraph 10, we would just like to reiterate the point that is referred to in several SOC reports, which recalls the fundamental incompatibility between extractive industries and World Heritage status, and perhaps just request a clarification around the confirmation of prospective mining. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'd like to see if there are any comment or interventions from the committee. I see none. Therefore, I invite you to adopt the draft decision 45 7B.9 concerning this property. But before doing so, I would like to ask the rapporteur if she has received any amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have received one amendment from the distinguished delegation of Rwanda, which is supported by the distinguished delegation of Zambia. The changes are proposed for paragraph 6, 7, 8, and 10. Starting with paragraph 6, the revised para 6 is reiterating its concern on the continued water stress in the Lake Sibaya ecosystem, further requests the State Party to maintain a moratorium on issuing licenses for commercial forestry to address unauthorized commercial forestry plantations identified as a key source of water use stress within the watershed of Lake Sebaya, and to report on the hydrological and ecological conditions of Lake Sebaya system. The revised Para 7 welcomes the state party's plan to establish a buffer zone to the property in an effort to reduce water stress on Lake Sebaya, and recommends that the consultation process consider the overall land use planning affecting the property's integrity. The revised Para 8 also notes the conclusion and recommendations of the report of the independent panel of experts tasked to review the impact of the January 2021 artificial breaching of the mouth of the St. Lucia estuary, and to develop guidelines for future management of the estuary so as to safeguard the property's outstanding universal value, and urges the state party to ensure that any intervention in the St. Lucia estuary would be aligned with the panel recommendations and subject to relevant environmental impact assessments conducted in conformity with the new guidance and toolkit for impact assessments in a World Heritage context, and further request the state party to revisit the recommendations of the GEF-funded study. Para 9 remains same. Revised Para 10 further welcomes the state party's commitment to ensure that adequate national level impact assessment for any extractive industry development proposal is conducted in conformity with the new guidance and toolkit for impact assessments in a World Heritage context, and furthermore requests the state party to keep the World Heritage Committee informed on any developments in line with paragraph 172 of the operational guidelines. End of Para 10, and Para 11 remains as it is. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I suggest we go examine the draft decision paragraph by paragraph. I see from paragraph 1 to paragraph. Rwanda would like to take the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Would you please give the floor to South Africa for more clarification, as the questions were asked by ICN? Thank you.
Thank you very much. South Africa.
Thank you very much, and we appreciate Rwanda's support on this item. We just would like to clarify that there are no planned activities in relation to any extraction of minerals within and even outside the property. We also can confirm that a portion of this property is also include the marine protected area. Also, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Oman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to appreciate and recognize the effort of the state party. I would like to put our name in all the amended paragraphs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other interventions or comments? Mali, you may have the floor.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Le Mali souhaite apporter son soutien aux amendements proposés. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. Sorry, Egypt?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My delegation also would like to support the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ethiopia?
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. My delegation also supports the proposal.
Thank you very much. India?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. We would also like to support the proposed amendment.
Thank you very much. Nigeria? Nigeria, you may have the floor.
And Nigeria would like to support the amendments by Rwanda. Thank you.
المملكة العربية السعودية.
السلام عليكم سعادة الرئيس. نود تأييد التعديلات في هذا المقترح. شكرا.
شكرا جزيلا. I see no other. قطر.
شكرا سيد الرئيس. Qatar support Rwanda proposal. Thanks.
شكرا جزيلا. So I see no other additional interventions, and I suggest we go examine the draft decision paragraph by paragraph. From paragraph 1 to paragraph 5, there are no amendments. Do you agree to accept them as it is? I see no objection, so adopted. Paragraph 6, there is a proposal. Do we accept this amendment? I see no objection, so the paragraph is adopted as amendment. Paragraph 7, there is a proposal. So, do we accept it as amended? I see no objection, so the paragraph is adopted as amended. Paragraph 8, there is a proposal. Do we agree with this proposal? I see no objection. The paragraph is adopted as amended. Paragraph 9, there is no amendment. Do we accept it as it is? I see no objection. The paragraph is adopted. Then we have a proposal for paragraph 10. Do we accept and agree with this proposal? المملكة العربية السعودية.
نود أن ندعم الفقرة رقم 10.
شكرا جزيلا.
عفوا.
Do we agree with this amended paragraph? Then I see no objection. The paragraph is adopted as amended. Paragraph 11, there is no amendment. Do we accept it as it is? Then I see no objection. Then it's adopted. Now, my dear colleagues, I see that there are no objection to adopt the draft decision as a whole. Therefore, I declare the draft decision 45.7b.9 adopted as amended. For the next property to be discussed, Tusia Taina in Victoria Falls in Zambia and Zimbabwe. I would like to give the floor to the delegation of South Africa to present to the committee the reasons why it's made such a request. You may have the floor, South Africa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. South Africa has analyzed the state of conservation document and sought further clarity from state parties of Zambia and Zimbabwe. We therefore propose amendments to paragraphs 4, 5, 6, and 10b on the following basis. In respect of paragraph 4, Chairperson, we would like to first congratulate the State Party of Zambia and their counterpart, the State Party of Zimbabwe, for cooperating to ensure responsible implementation of the Batoka Gorge Hydroelectric Scheme, BGHES, which should be welcomed by the committee as an important step in humanity's effort to address the increasing threat of climate change. The BGHES, which is located outside of the property's boundaries, will contribute immensely towards increasing power generation in the region through a clean energy source. The State Party of Zambia has taken utmost care to avoid any possible impacts on the OUV through the selection of an alternative that has no likelihood of undermining the integrity of the site. The chosen alternative clearly shows the tail of the backflow of the reservoir waters will only be located in gorges with a potential water level rise of only 25% maximum, and as such, no flooding of the gorges, and therefore no negative impact on the attributes of the OUV. Such water level increases have been continuously witnessed seasonally, depending on amounts of rainfall, and are expected to follow the same pattern beyond the completion of the BGHES. We are therefore proposing amendments that will create a balanced decision. In respect of paragraph 5, Chairperson, we would like to draw the attention of the committee to a joint integrated management plan developed by the two state parties, and we believe that the plan will serve as an important tool to guide future developments in and around the property. South Africa therefore call on the committee to support the state parties towards sustainable infrastructure development for the benefit of the site and the state parties' population and the region. We thus believe that issues raised in paragraph 5 will be addressed through the existing processes, including the use of paragraph 172 of the operational guidelines and other state parties' level safeguards. South Africa has noted that paragraph 6 has been overtaken by events as developments referred in that para, like the resort hotel, are already finalized in accordance with national approvals. As such, we are proposing that the committee instead acknowledges this reality and record its regret that such development has taken place. Lastly, Chairperson, we are asking that para 10B be deleted as the SP has developed a joint integrated management plan which serves as a guide for future development, and therefore there is no need for the committee to ask for another blueprint for the development. As this is a short report with Zimbabwe, we request the Chairperson to give the State Party of Zimbabwe to clarify other elements. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I would like to give the floor to the Secretariat and IUCN to give their feedback on this comment.
Thank you very much. On the issue of the Batoka Gorge hydroelectric scheme, which is referred to in paragraph 4, we would like to note that following review of the documentations from the State Party, the World Heritage Center and IUCN have assessed that the reservoir area of the electric scheme will extend approximately 10.75 kilometers into the property at full supply level, which at the deepest point will increase the water level in the property by around 43 meters. During the dry season, it is reported that the reservoir level will be lowered, which will reduce the flooded area by 5 kilometers. This means that during the dry season, still 5.75 kilometers of the gorge inside the property will remain with a higher water level. The project will therefore alter the unique gorge ecosystem and water flow and could potentially impact on the ecological values of the property as defined in its statement of OUV. The World Heritage Center therefore considered that the property should not proceed as currently proposed, but should be further revised together with the environmental impact assessment to assess alternative project designs that would avoid these impacts on the property and include a comprehensive ecological assessment of the gorge ecosystem. IUCN will also speak to the other paragraphs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. IUCN.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just like to comment on the tourism infrastructure developments as noted in, this refers to paragraph 5 and 6 of the draft decision. The property faces serious threats from individual and cumulative infrastructure developments associated with tourism. IUCN and the World Heritage Centre recall past committee requests to the State Party of Zambia to halt the Mosioa Tunya Livingston Resort Hotel development. However, as now confirmed by the State Party of Zambia, the resort hotel was completed and has been opened for business. Other tourism developments have also been reported in Zimbabwe within the areas of the property that are recognized as highly sensitive zones according to the Joint Integrated Management Plan. This concern is further compounded by inconsistent property boundaries that are used in different documentations, creating confusions as to what is and is not inside the property boundaries. Other inconsistencies are also seen in permitted and prohibited activities and developments, which appear to differ between the management plan for national parks, which the property overlap with, and the joint integrated management plan for the property. IUCN and the World Heritage Centre considered that it would be valuable to determine development areas and criteria that ensure the protection of the OUV of the property. A detailed plan that prescribes where, what, and how constructions can take place in and around the property would become the blueprint for development to allow the states parties to map out areas where construction could take place based on clear criteria and areas that should be considered free from development. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. I'd like to ask the committee if they have any interventions or comment on this. You see any? Mali?
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Comme vous le savez, les chutes Victoria sont au nombre des merveilles naturelles les plus emblématiques au monde et méritent de ce fait toute notre singulière attention. Il est vrai qu'elles ont été confrontées à divers défis en matière de conservation et de protection au fil des ans. Cependant, il reste essentiel que les membres du comité apprécient mieux les efforts des États parties de la Zambie et du Zimbabwe concernant la gestion et la conservation de ce site, et notamment la préservation de sa VIE. Concernant les questions de développement des infrastructures, les deux États parties ont fourni des précisions écrites qui dissipent, à notre sens, toute ambiguïté et permettent d'avoir une meilleure compréhension des actions en cours. Par exemple, le projet hydroélectrique de la gorge de Batoka aura des avantages environnementaux. De même, le déclassement de la centrale électrique du GESCO des chutes Victoria en Zambie permettra de restaurer le cours naturel de la rivière et d'améliorer la beauté naturelle du site. Soulignons que la recommandation de suspendre la construction de l'hôtel Mosi Owa Tunia Livingstone Resorts a été prise en compte à notre sens, les conclusions juridiques y relatives ayant été remplies et une évaluation d'impact environnemental et social révisée ayant également été soumise. Les distingués délégués de la Zambie et du Zimbabwe pourraient d'ailleurs, le cas échéant, nous apporter davantage de précisions et d'éclairage. Aussi, apportons-nous notre soutien aux amendements proposés par l'Afrique du Sud. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. Japan?
Thank you, Chairperson. We recognize that the site is inscribed based on the criteria 7 and 8. And however, the statement of SOUV mentions about the unique, important ecosystems like a rainforest near the big falls. So regarding the amendment proposed, for the EIA for the Batoka Gorge hydroelectric scheme, they are trying to change the focus of EIA from ecological survey, ecological assessment to the geological or the morphological assessment. So in that context, we would like to ask the state parties about how they consider about the OUV of this site. So because the SOUV of mentioned about the ecosystem or the biodiversity value of this site in the criterion 7. So I just wonder how those state parties consider about the OUV of this site. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Give the floor to South Africa.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think just emphasizing the point that Japan raised to confirm that the OUV of the site is based on geomorphology and not on ecosystem. And I'm sure the state party, Zambia, can clarify that, and if they can also allow Zimbabwe to clarify other elements. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Russian Federation.
Спасибо, господин председатель. Уважаемые коллеги, мы хотели бы поддержать поправки, которые предлагает Южная Африка. На наш взгляд, они отражают реальную ситуацию и считаем эти правки обоснованными. Это решение будет способствовать взаимодействию двух стран, Зимбабве и Замбии, в области не только взаимодействия, ценности этого объекта сохранения, но и устойчивого развития как этих двух стран, так и региона в целом, и, самое главное, его жителей. Спасибо большое.
Thank you very much. Sultan Oman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'm listening to South Africa to open this file and the justification provided, as well as the advisory bodies and the remarks by others. I would like to support the amendment of this decision and to associate our name with all the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other interventions from the committee? So now I would like to give the floor to Zimbabwe to respond to the question addressed by South Africa, Mali, and Japan.
Thank you, Chair, for giving us the opportunity to speak. As it is the first time Zimbabwe is taking the floor, we'd like to congratulate you as Chair and also thank the Secretariat for the hard work and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for the warm hospitality accorded to all of us. We would like to also convey our heartfelt sympathies to the State Party of Morocco and Libya following the devastating natural disasters that occurred recently. Chair, there is and has been overwhelming pressure from various players proposing various developments since the property was inscribed in 1989. And we have, over the years, turned down hundreds of proposals to preserve the outstanding universal values of the property. Apart from our increasing wildlife populations in the Kaza TFCA, where the property is located, the human population growth in our region has grown by over 45%. And this has triggered the corresponding increase in competing claims for land for various purposes, and we have successfully managed such pressures. As a transboundary property, we believe the inclusive and highly effective three-tier system that starts from Joint Site Management Committee, Joint Technical Committee, and Joint Ministerial Committees is exemplary. The establishment of the Batoka Gorge hydroelectric scheme will contribute to the partial fulfillment of the national obligations under the Paris Agreement following the UNFCCC COP21 decision to encourage state parties to promote clean energy production whilst reducing and eventually eliminating fossil fuels that are exacerbating climate change and has negative and significant implications on the hydrology of the Zambezi River. At present, the average of 50% of our populations, both in Zambia and Zimbabwe, lack access to electricity. And Chair, in the quest to achieve goal number 7 of the SDGs, the investment in clean energy is necessary. And in joint efforts, Chair, our governments remain committed to religiously implement the recommendation of the Environmental Social Impact Assessment prepared for this project. Given these submissions, Chair, together with Zambia, we pledge to continue preserving the integrity of the property whilst ensuring that livelihoods surrounding communities are enhanced through sustainably designed programs and ensuring that the ecosystems and habitats are conserved to protect the OUV of the property.
Thank you so much.
I thank you, Chair.
So I would like to see If there anyone from the committee members would like to take the floor, Dawlat Qatar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Qatar acknowledged that Zambia has taken the right measure in the implementation of the Batuka hydroelectric scheme, which will not affect the outstanding universal value of the property. Therefore, the State of Qatar supports the amendment proposed by South Africa. Thank you.
شكرا جزيلا. اليابان. Japan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'm sorry to take the floor again. Now, Japan commends the efforts made by the state parties of Zimbabwe and Zambia, and also we have now explanations about the measures they have taken. But at the same time, we do recognize that there are concerns expressed by the evaluation bodies. Now, I believe this is a very typical example of the compatibility between development and conservation. And also, another point is that relationship to climate change and the Paris Agreement, hydroelectric power is recommended from that perspective. And as I understand it, this hydropower project is a regional project which is designed to supply clean electricity to other countries in the region. So all in all, there are many elements to be considered in this particular case. And if I'm not mistaken, I heard a suggestion yesterday, I think from the delegation of Zambia, to have a look at this particular project, the Victoria Falls project, as a kind of showcase of development versus conservation. And the reply, I believe the reply from the Deputy Director of the World Health Center at that time was that she was very positive about that kind of exercise. Now, this particular project, this particular file has a very wide-ranging implications. There are, of course, conservation issues, but also there are also development issues. And in this context, I would just like to ask a question to the state party of Zambia in particular, because I heard that they suggested that perhaps we can have comprehensive studies on this particular case in terms of the compatibility between development and also conservation. And if the World Heritage Center is positive on this initiative, perhaps we have to look at this file from that perspective. This Victoria Falls, I had a chance to go there once. It's such a magnificent heritage. We have to preserve it. But at the same time, we have to cater to the development needs, and particularly when those things are in compliance with international agreements, Paris Agreement, or the needs in the region. So I think we have to take a broad approach to this particular file. So I would like to ask a question to the state parties, and hopefully from the center as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. So I'll pass the floor to Zambia to respond to your question. Zambia, you may have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a state party of Zambia, we have over many years since inscription of the Mosotunya Victoria Falls World Heritage Site in 1989, worked collaboratively with our Zimbabwean counterparts in jointly preparing the state of conservation reports, general management plans, strategic environmental assessment reports, facilitated reviews in EIAs, resource boundary mapping, and capacity building programs. All these have been aimed in protecting the property's key attributes and outstanding universal value, which has a magnificent, beautiful, breathtaking, and grandiose waterfall, as well as a scenic gorges and islands. It is for this reason, Mr. Chairman, that the property has remained the largest block of naturally falling waters in the world over the past 3 decades. It has still remained one of the prestigious natural wonders of the world due to the pristine nature and due to the efforts undertaken by the state parties. Whilst noting and generally appreciating the concerns raised by IUCN, the committee and the center, it is important to note that the Moso Tunya Blue Hotel project development, which is 4 kilometers away from the lip of the falls or the falls itself, is upstream of the main falls, and it is largely in the area which is known as a buffer zone. We are using the word largely, implying that it is not impacting on the views and the geomorphological processes and features of the site. Further, the state party would like to acknowledge its shortfalls in contributing to the current debate on the inappropriate terminologies and attributes which were crafted in the OUV. The adoption of the use of the terminologies ecologically sensitive, geomorphologically sensitive, they have been complicated. And in this case, you find that, for instance, the outstanding universal value for the Victoria Falls is based on geomorphological features and processes. And when you look at the assessments, they are emphasizing on ecological assessments, which is a wrong judgment, because we should be, as two state parties, we should be judged on the geomorphological features and processes rather than the biological aspects, which are also important in the environmental, that is a consideration. And when it comes to the Batoka Gorge hydro project, the impact will be felt 2 kilometers downstream of the main falls, meaning the linear distance, which in terms of the outstanding universal value, the site was nominated for its beauty. So we feel that this will not really impact the values as it is being projected. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. I would like to ask the Secretariat if they have any comment on Japan's request. You may have the floor, Mr. Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. I think to reply very quickly to the very important question raised by the ambassador of Japan, I think the issue of the balance between World Heritage, conservation and development has been a subject which has been discussed by this committee, and there has been a number of decisions, and in particular I think this issue has started to be really tackled by the Africa group. And I would like to recall the very important meeting which was organized a few years ago with the support of China, and which led to a very important declaration and publication on World Heritage and sustainable development to safeguard Africa's heritage as a drive for sustainable development. And I think here the role of the committee has always been to try to look at this issue as a balance. On one way, of course, to preserve the OUV of the property, on the other way, to make sure that properties, as they are preserved, contribute to the sustainable development of the countries, and in particular the concerned communities. And I think it is already clear with this committee that there is no need, or there is no objection about the need to see the World Heritage properties contribute to the socio-economic development and sustainable development. And it is important to ensure a compatible development in and around World Heritage sites. And I think that's the discussion that you are having, and that's the reason why the Deputy Director in her presentation has been positive on using it as a pilot to help implementation of the project. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Director. Do we have any other interventions or comments from the committee? Japan, you may have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I very much appreciate the reactions from the World Heritage Center on this particular point. I think this is a very important point. Now, because we have to make a judgment as to whether we accept the amendments or not. I just wanted to clarify that because of the particular importance of this particular file, that's one of the most important files in our World Heritage List. Because of that reason, I wanted to make sure that discussions on the compatibility between development and conservation will continue, particularly with regard to this file. And I thought on that basis we could support the amendments. But we want to make sure, because we understand the concerns expressed from the evaluation bodies, and at the same time, we do understand the need to produce electricity with very clean measures. The hydro is one of them. And also there's a development need for electricity in the region. So we have to take all those things into account when we make our observations. So what I wanted to say is that we can support the amendments, but this is on the understanding that discussions will continue on this very important point. And I hope if the State Party of Zambia and Zimbabwe can agree with my statement, that is appreciated. Thank you very much.
سلطنة عمان.
شكرا جزيلا. أنا الآن أتفهم موقف سعادة سفير اليابان. هذه نقطة مهمة ليست لهذا المشروع فحسب وإنما لمشاريع كثيرة. لا بد من الموازنة بين التنمية sustainable development وكذلك المحافظة على السايت، ولذلك هذه القضية يجب أن تدرس بعمق من قبل اللجنة ومن قبل الورلد هيريتيج سنتر والادفايزري بودي. ولذلك هذا الموضوع يجب أن يخصص له سيمينار معين، لأن الآن في contradiction. نحن نلاحظ في كثير من الأحيان أن هناك تناقض بين التقييم وبين الاحتياجات. في بعض الأحيان ندرك أن هناك حاجة ملحة مثل هذا الموضوع إلى إيجاد الكهرباء أو احتياجات أخرى في مواقع أخرى، فلذلك لا بد أن يكون هناك نقاش وإعادة النظر في هذه القضية بسمينار أو مؤتمر أو جلسات معينة في وقت لاحق. وشكرا.
شكرا جزيلا. زامبيا.
Mr. Chair, just to emphasize and agree with the point that Japan has laid before us, that Zambia is in agreement with the suggestion from Japan. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. I'd like to see if there are any additional comments. Since we have none, I invite you, my dear colleagues, to adopt the draft decision 45Com 7B.10 concerning this property. But before doing so, I would like to ask the rapporteur if she has received any amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have received one amendment from the distinguished delegation of South Africa, which was supported by the distinguished delegations of Ethiopia, Oman, and Qatar. And we also received a revised version of the amendment from the distinguished delegation of South Africa last night. Further, from the floor, we got confirmation for supporting the amendment by the distinguished delegations of Mali and Russian Federation. The proposed amendment is for changes in para 4, 5, 6, and 10. Starting with para 4, notes again with increasing concern the inevitable negative impacts of the proposed Batoka Gorge hydroelectric scheme on the outstanding universal value of the property due to seasonal rising of water levels and partial disappearance of some swash in a significant is deleted portion of the gorges within the property, and requests the state's parties to implement the 2022 reactive monitoring mission recommendation to revise the environmental and social impact assessment in accordance with the new guidance and toolkit for impact assessments in a World Heritage context, to undertake a comprehensive geomorphological and/or geological assessment of the gorge environment that takes into account the property boundaries and resubmit the revised ESIA to the World Heritage Center for review by IUCN before making any decisions that may be difficult to reverse in accordance with the paragraph 172 of the operational guidelines. The revised para 5 reiterates its concern over the increasing pressure from tourism infrastructure within and around the property, exacerbated by the absence of strategic planning, and also requests the states parties to prioritize the review and update the joint integrated management plan to ensure that necessary safeguards and thresholds are incorporated to mitigate against developmental pressures for the protection of the property's OUV, and further requests the states parties to adhere to the new guidance and toolkit for impact assessments in a World Heritage context prior to taking any decision that is difficult to reverse. The revised para 6 regrets that the construction of the Mosio Oa Tunia Livingstone Resort Hotel has concluded despite the committee's request to halt further activities, and urgently requests the state party of Zambia to implement migratory measures integral to legal conditions of approval issued by Zambian Environmental Management Authority. Yeah, I think there's a correction here. To implement mitigatory measures integral to legal conditions of approval issued by Zambian Environmental Management Authority and contained in the Joint Management Plan, the ESIA has been revised in accordance with the new guidance and toolkit for impact assessments in a World Heritage context, and a comprehensive environmental and social management plan has been developed and submitted together with impact assessments to the World Heritage Center. Para 7, 8, and 9 stay as they are. In para 10, point B is deleted, which is to develop a blueprint for infrastructure development in and around the property. The rest of the para stays as is. Para 11 remains as is. Thank you.
Thank you very much. India, you may have the floor.
Thank you, Excellency. India would like to join the member states South Africa, Ethiopia, Oman, Qatar, Russian Federation, and Mali. Thank you, Excellency.
Thank you very much. Egypt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My delegation would like to support all the amendments to the draft resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nigeria.
Nigeria is supporting the amendment as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. المملكة العربية السعودية.
السلام عليكم سعادة الرئيس، نود تأييد التعديلات الواردة في هذا القرار.
شكرا جزيلا. Nigeria, you may close the Nigeria, you may close the mic. So I think we have no other interventions, and we should move to examine the draft decision paragraph by paragraph. From paragraph 1 to paragraph 3, there are no amendments. You agree to accept them as it is? Thailand.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I would just like to add our name to all the amendments. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Japan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There was one particular point about ecology. Now, I understand that the mist from the falls, Victorian Falls, have created a particular ecological circumstances which are very unique in this particular context. And therefore, we wanted to revive the word ecological, but we also heard from Zambia that this was not the reason, the justification for the inscription. So we don't insist, but we hope that this aspect is already also considered in the future steps. And with that, we support the consensus.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Rwanda.
Thank you, Chair. Kindly add Rwanda to the proposed amendment.
Thank you so much. So now I would like to go back to paragraph 1 to paragraph 3. Okay, so there are no amendments on the paragraph 1 to paragraph 3. If there is no any objection, the paragraphs are adopted as it is. Paragraph 4, we have amendment. Do we agree to this proposal? I see no objections. The paragraph is amended as amended. Paragraph 5, we have proposal. Do we agree to this proposal? I see no objections. Japan, you may have the floor.
Mr. Chair, it's not objection. We also support this paragraph. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. So, if there is no objection, then we adopt the paragraph as amended. Paragraph 6, do we agree to the proposal? I see no objection. The paragraph is adopted as amended. Paragraph 7 and paragraph 8, there are no amendments. Do we agree to accept them as it is? I see no objections. Adopted. Paragraph 9, and there is no amendment. Do we agree to accept it as it is? I see no objections. Adopted. Paragraph 9, we have a proposal. Do we agree with the amendment? I see Japan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. This is exactly the point that I was referring to earlier. The distinguished ambassador of Oman was trying to clarify what I was saying. Yes, I think what he suggested and what I was saying are more or less the same. It is a need to have further discussions on this issue of compatibility between development and conservation. And that has to be, and we had a very positive reaction from the State Party of Zambia, and I highly appreciate that. With that understanding, we support this as well. Thank you.
Indeed, Your Excellency. Thank you. So, do we agree with the proposed amendment? I see no objections. Then the paragraph is adopted as amended. Paragraph 11, there is no amendment. Do we agree to accept it as it is? I see no objection, then adopted. So now, if there are no objection to adopt the entire and whole draft decision amended, I therefore declare draft decision 45.7b.10 adopted as amended. World Heritage Watch. You may have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was about to read a statement from the NGO Keep Victoria Falls Wild, but this statement contained a precise suggestion for an amendment of the draft decision. So there is no point in reading that statement anymore, but this incident gives me an opportunity to request you please consider again whether it would not be useful for everyone in the room if the observers could be allowed to make their statements before decisions are taken. This has been granted in previous committee sessions, and we were for some time under the impression that this could become a standard procedure. Now we are very disappointed about the fact that we are only allowed to make statements after decisions are taken. Sir, we are working hard. We are trying to make serious, productive and constructive contributions to the findings of the committee. And we would be very happy if this could be more highly appreciated by allowing us to speak before decisions are taken. And I would also like to request the committee members to change the rules of procedure or to change the operational guidelines, whatever is needed, to make sure that the observers, both the NGOs, the indigenous peoples and others, have the right to speak before decisions are taken. The present experience is really quite frustrating. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you for your intervention. So now, moving forward, I invite Mr. Ilondo Osomo to read the list of the natural properties inscribed in the World Heritage List located in the Africa region, for which the reports are proposed for adoption without discussion. You may have the floor, Director.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson. The following natural properties located in the Africa region for which the report are proposed for adoption without discussion are W. Arli Penjari Complex, Benin, Burkina Faso, and Niger. Jafonel Reserve, Cameroon. Salonga National Park, Democratic Republic of the Congo. George National Bird Sanctuary, Senegal. Sanga Tree National, Cameroon, Central African Republic, and Congo. Simian National Park, Ethiopia. Lake Malawi National Park, Malawi. Rwenzori Mountain National Park, Uganda. Serengeti National Park, United Republic of Tanzania. And Manapools National Park, Sapi and Chiwori Safari areas, Zimbabwe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If there is no objections from the committee of this, the committee on this state of conservation report, so then I declare the draft decision, the decision read out, adopted. Also, I would like to request from the director to read the list of the natural properties inscribed on the World Heritage List located in the Arab States region, for which the reports are proposed for adoption without discussion. You may have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. The following natural properties located in the Arab States region, for which the reports are proposed for adoption without discussion, are Bangdargan National Park, Mauritania. Socotra Archipelago, Yemen. Sanganeb Marine National Park and Dunguna Bay, Mukawar Island Marine National Park, Sudan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If there's no objection from the committee on the state conservation report, I declare the decision read out adopted. Alliance Earth, NGO, you may have the floor.
There must have been a mistake, Chairperson. That was for the previous session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, since the next item is open for discussion, I propose that we reopen and resume our work after this morning session at 3 p.m. so that we can have continuous dialogue and debate among the committee members. So for now, you may have earlier session that will be over. So see you afternoon. Mr. Director has some announcements.
Thank you. This is just to let everyone know that we are trying to continue fix the issue of Wi-Fi. Thank you.